computer. Okay, so theoretically we're recording. We'll see if that actually is true. Welcome. It's nice to see you again. It's been a while, and this is the first of our daily weekday, at least weekday somatics practical explorations. We'll do 30 minutes of simple somatic exploration and see how that goes. I'm pretty excited, a little bit nervous to share this with you. It's been, gosh, I don't know, it's been months since we've seen one another. I should say this will be obviously to those of you who are here live, you know this is live. I'm recording it. It will be on my YouTube channel. So for those who are not live, you may not know what I'm talking about, but to those of you who are here live, it's nice to see you. And to all of you who are here live, I think I've earned your trust with the somatics inquiry, somatics explorations. So you've had firsthand experience of the benefits or some of the benefits. To anybody who's new, who might be watching this and not really have any background with the somatic inquiry or the somatic exploration, I think it's really important to just give a brief, say, sales pitch of kind of the benefits that you might look for, that you might possibly experience. And even to those of you who are experienced with this, I think it's helpful. It's a helpful reminder to know, to kind of have a pointer about what to look for, the directions to look in, and directions maybe not to look in so much. So my aim with the somatic explorations is multiple intentions. Okay, one intention is that this can help you to feel better, period. Okay, this can help you to feel better. So feeling better does not mean, and this is an important point, feeling better does not mean what you think it means. That's a reminder to myself. That's a reminder to all of us. It's a really, really important point, so let that in. Feeling better does not mean what you think it means. Let me put that in the first person. Feeling better does not mean what I think it means. And I'll just, so rather than me stating that for you, I'll state it for myself, and then you can look to see if that's true for yourself. I'm inviting you to find out that this is true for you. Why this is important is that what I think that feeling better means is my habit that keeps me stuck in feeling bad. So I am habitually attempting to recreate a feeling state that I wrongly believe is better. But in fact, all I am doing is creating discomfort, pain, fear, anxiety, and so forth. And I'm calling that the pursuit of good. I'm calling that the pursuit of healing. I'm calling that the pursuit of something better. I'm calling that looking for relief. But in fact, what I'm doing, as long as I'm unconscious, is I'm recreating what I don't want. I'm making myself miserable. So through this exploration, my intention, my goal for myself, and I'm inviting you to discover this for yourself, is to find out how that's true, to become aware of that through that awareness of what it is that I do habitually. And there are many things. So it's not just one thing. But through that awareness of what I do habitually to generate my misery, my pain, my discomfort, my frustration, I am becoming aware of how I don't have to do that, because it requires effort to do that. And this will become, I hope it will become clearer through this practical exploration. We're going to get to it in just a moment. I promise I'm not going to just sit here and talk for a long time. But this is an important setup. Okay, it's some important background information, context. It gives you an important context from which to participate in this exploration so that it can be the most fruitful. So you will very likely notice, I can't say for sure because I'm not you, but I believe it's very likely you will notice these habits. And I will do my best to point out the habits that I notice in myself so that maybe that will be helpful to you, giving you a direction to look in and some guidance, some pointing to look for something similar in your own experience so that you can also become aware of how you habitually generate your own pain, your own restriction, your own frustration. And this is really, I'm so enthusiastic about this because to me, this is a practical way in which anybody, including a dummy like me, can discover greater ease and freedom in day-to-day life. So I'm not, this is not like you have to go sit on a meditation mat for hours. You don't have to go somewhere else. It's just, this is helping us to discover in our day-to-day lives greater awareness of our habits that generate our misery. And when we become aware of them, we don't have to do them. So that's, I think, enough setup. Let me just give you a few other minor things before we get started, okay? One is, don't push yourself. This is not, this is, most of you who are here live, you know this, but it's always a helpful reminder. Don't make the mistake of thinking that pushing, trying harder is going to get you better results. This really, truly is an exploration to uncover our unconscious habits. That's to me, as far as I'm concerned, that's where the real gold is. And so you can experience benefits from this without doing exactly what I'm doing. You don't have to do exactly what I say. What I'm going to be guiding you through is just to give you some pointers. So what we're going to do, or what I'm going to invite you to do, is to sit. Most of you appears to be sitting. And we're going to do a seated exploration. But if that's too uncomfortable for you, if that's overwhelming for you, don't. You may lie down. You may stand. I'm going to invite you to sit still for what for some of us might be a long time. You don't have to sit still the entire time. Don't make it an endurance thing. Like, can you just tough it out and get through it? Because that's not going to be the greatest benefit to you. So I know this is like, maybe it seems remedial, and I'm sorry to like belabor it, but it's important to me that you discover, that you allow yourself ease and gentleness in this, because that will be better. I'm certain of that. That's one thing I'm certain of. Okay, so give yourself permission to find the right balance for you in this moment. So we're doing this as a group, and part of doing it as a, there are many, I think there are many benefits to doing it as a group, but that does not mean you must do exactly what everybody else is doing. Because again, the real benefit is, as far as I'm concerned, the discovery for myself, for yourself, what our habits are. And we discover that through awareness, not through endurance, not through trying harder. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Let's get started. So we're going to just sit. And like I said, if sitting is not appropriate for you, then you may lie down, you may stand, you may do whatever, you're free. You get to do whatever you want. If you're going to sit, and I'm not going to, and I won't belabor that either, but if you're going to sit, then find a way to sit that you imagine possibly you might be able to sit fairly still for the next 20 to 30 minutes. Now, if that already raises some alarm bells, then don't worry about it. I'm going to, since I'm inviting you to do that, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to get my legs in a nice position here. I'm sitting on the floor, but you can sit on the floor. You can sit on the chair. You could sit on the bed. You could sit cross-legged. You could sit feet on the floor, whatever. Just find a position that you think might possibly work for you. If at all possible, don't be leaning back. Don't be leaning against something, if possible. If that's not possible, then don't stress about it. So I'm going to close my eyes just because it makes it a little bit easier for me to tune into this somatic experience. Oh, no, that's fine. We'll just, so many things to say, but I won't say them all. So I think the way that I'll start this out at least is I'll just describe what I'm doing, what my exploration is, and this is a guide for you. Okay, so I'm inviting you to do the same or similar. Now, as you become increasingly familiar with this, we'll call it a method, you'll have a greater confidence to explore in a more free-form way. So that will come with time. That will come with experience, with practice. So for now, just be willing to be here and play along. Don't push, and just see what happens. So I'm sitting here, and what I'm noticing is anywhere that I might be making some unnecessary effort to remain seated in this position. So I'm going to just sort of scan. So I'll do it a little bit methodically. So I'll start from the buttocks because I have sensation in my buttocks and they're on the floor. And so I'm just noticing, am I clenching, straining, making any unnecessary effort in the buttocks? And simply softening. So this is my old habit is I need to know how first, and then I'll do it. Of course, I don't know how to do it, so then it's a vicious cycle because I say, well, I have to know how to do it and before I can do it, and therefore I just become frustrated. But I've discovered there's another way. I'm sure there are many ways, but the way that I do this now is I just open to the possibility that there is an intelligence. Let's say the intelligence that operates all of the entire universe. Okay, because the universe does appear to be functioning. And certainly I don't consciously do that, right? I don't consciously move the planets and galaxies and so forth. So this intelligence that's greater than my conscious mind is apparently functioning. So how about this for an idea? I will explore the possibility of allowing this greater intelligence, this greater functioning to operate unimpeded for a moment and just trust that it's capable of allowing me to soften. It's capable of allowing my body to be supported here by the floor or whatever you might be under, or over rather, whatever might be under you. But logically, I don't need to tense my butt to be supported by the floor. So I'm just going to surrender to this possibility for a moment, just letting go for one moment into this possibility of this greater intelligence is capable of functioning perfectly without me getting involved. And all I need to do is just notice where I'm making the unnecessary effort and just surrender without having to know what that means. Now I'm noticing, and I should say it's possible that some of these things may be easier for you or they may be harder for you. And don't worry about it. Just be open to the possibilities. Just be open to something greater. Just be open to something new, something beyond your habits, something beyond your conditioning, something beyond your egoic control. And so I notice in the lower abdomen, I notice a kind of numbness or a lack of total clarity and some sense of unevenness or tension, perhaps hardness. Doesn't have to be actually any of the things that I'm saying, but these point at something, some kind of discomfort, lack of clarity. And so here too, I just open to the possibility, maybe I don't need to make this effort and I don't have to know the answer. I don't have to know how to fix it. I don't have to know how to figure it out. I'm just willing for a moment just to breathe and allow a surrender. Now, I just want to remind you that you don't need to do what I'm doing. So if there's anything that you are needing to take care of yourself, be gentle and offer yourself that. But to whatever degree possible, just remain still. Now I'm noticing my hands. So, and it's actually my wrists. So I noticed my wrists were unnecessarily tense. Like I was trying to support myself in sitting upright by flexing my wrists. So that's an interesting thing to notice. Clearly it's not going to work, but somehow that's what my conditioning suggests, is that, hey, flex the wrists, that's going to help. So I can soften and surrender. For me, I notice that's kind of an easy one. Maybe for you it's not. Maybe you don't notice any tension in your wrists. Maybe your wrists are just soft and supple. Maybe you notice something somewhere else. Now I notice the back of my neck. Now the back of my neck, it's just not clear. It's just not as clear as I know that it could be. So here's an important point. Now, my habit is to try and fix it. So I notice this lack of clarity, this, maybe we could call it discomfort, numbness, blunted sensation. It's just not as clear and comfortable and confident as I know that it could be. And my habit is to try and fix it by countering that with something else. So my habit is to try and move my head or neck into the what I think, or my habit tells me is the right position. But what I'm choosing to do is just to remain here with the sensation and just soften to this as it is and see what happens. And for me, that points to unnecessary tension around the eyes and the forehead. So it's as if there's this kind of this gripping that runs all the way around from the back of the neck to the front of the head, as if I'm going to somehow, through gripping the back of the neck and the front of the head, I'm going to somehow support myself in sitting upright. Then I notice my tongue. Now this is the tongue to me is very interesting. Of course, I'm talking, so my tongue's moving all over the place. But if I'm still for a moment, which I'll try to be in a moment, I notice that my tongue is making funny, unnecessary movements, wiggling around, pressing. It's like I'm not sure what to do with my tongue. So rather than trying to fix it by putting my tongue in the right position, because I could do that, right? I could Google where should my tongue go? And different schools of thought are going to tell me different things. I can try and put my tongue in the right position, which is just to emulate outwardly something. But see, that's kind of been my whole problem all throughout my life, is that I've tried to emulate what I thought was the right answer, and that didn't work out very well. So instead, this possibility that's presenting itself is, how about I'll just be with this experience? So here is this sensation that I call discomfort or lack of clarity about what do I do with my tongue. But have I actually taken the time and the opportunity to be with the experience, let's say, on its own terms, rather than me trying to intervene with the right answer? Like I'm like that overeager child in class who's constantly raising his hand. Ooh, I've got the right answer. Call on me. I know the right answer. But it's all a cover up for a deeper insecurity. It's like, I don't know the right answer. I don't know what to do with my tongue. Isn't that weird? So rather than trying to force it into the right place, whatever I think that might be, I'll just allow it to be wherever it is and notice, am I straining somehow? Am I working hard? Am I doing anything? And possibly I could just soften that, not move the tongue, not reposition it, just soften. And then again, I notice the back of the neck. Simultaneously, I notice the left wrist flexing again. Okay. So that's maybe a lot of sitting still for our first time. So we'll come back to that. But let's also explore a little bit of movement. And again, you do whatever's right for you. Okay, but I'm just going to invite you. So I notice, well, to be honest, I notice stuff all over. It's not just, it's all over. But I'd like to, for a moment, bring my attention to exploring the neck and head. Because here's an idea, okay? It might seem like a crazy idea, but what about this idea? How about I could sit comfortably, buoyantly, upright, without strain, and my head could be poised, balanced, virtually effortlessly atop my spine. And I could find that to be pleasurable. Maybe that sounds pretty nice to me. So I want to explore that possibility. So what I want to then look at is, what is it that I'm experiencing that I think is not that right now? So do I notice strain? Do I notice tension? Do I notice numbness? Do I notice, maybe my nervous system calls it frustration, impatience? Okay, these are all possibilities, right? But the question that I'm really interested in is, do I know what that really means? Do I actually know what this experience is? I have an idea, but I can tell the deeper truth, which is that my idea about what it means has not proven to be very fruitful unless what I'm aiming for is suffering. I mean, it's been very fruitful if I'm just aiming for suffering. But if I want ease, freedom, effortless patience, joy, then my way sucks. So how about I'll just set that aside for a moment and explore a new possibility. So the neck, we've got an image, we all have an idea of the neck. We have we'll call it a somatic image. This will be clearer, I think, with more investigation. So let's do that. So we start with an idea of our neck and our head, whole body, really, that's not working very well. So this idea that we have, this idea I have, it's not the best. I can know that that's true because I experience numbness, frustration, dis-ease, discomfort. So I don't know how to hold my head poised atop my spine effortlessly. I don't yet know how to do that. So let's explore what's interfering with that. What I'm proposing is that I have a wrong image. I have a wrong idea. This wrong idea shows up in different formats. Okay, one format it shows up in is the image. So I actually have a somatic image, a felt sense of what my head is and what my neck is and what my spine is and what my shoulders are and how they all relate to one another. And that image is incorrect. That image is incomplete and incorrect. So I experience discomfort as a result because it's out of alignment with reality. Well, so simple thing we can do. Okay, let's just explore allowing for the head. So we're just still sitting still as comfortably as possible. And without moving the rest of the body, just allow the head to tip forward. Don't choke yourself or anything. Just comfortably let it kind of move forward. Now, I should be clearer. Okay, forward is not a good direction. Sorry. Let it bend. Let the neck bend so that the head is tipping forward and slightly downward, just in a way that's comfortable. No straining. Now, here's the interest to me, an interesting part is I want to bring the head back upright. Or rather, I should just say I want to bring the head upright. Now, where is that movement originating from? So I'm exploring that possibility. Now, I notice, and I can tell you this because I've explored this one a fair amount. So I noticed that I have, not so much anymore, but still to a certain degree, and certainly historically have had the habit. Let's just repeat that several more times while I'm talking. So we'll let the head come forward slowly. Just a small amount, really. It's not a lot. And then bring it back upright slowly. And notice where that movement comes from. So as we're repeating that, comfortably and slowly, try to allow it to be as effortless as possible. So we're not straining. I'll say a few things about it. I have noticed, certainly historically, that I have had the habit of trying to bring my head upright, back, I should say, and upright, by tensing up the throat, tensing up the front of the neck, tensing up the jaw, squeezing my eyes, which I just noticed myself doing, okay? Now, if I allow myself to imagine this image of my neck and head and spine, I could imagine mechanically where might, if I was to reconstruct this, let's say I wanted to create a model, where would I put the muscles that would raise the head from, if the head is tipping forward, where would I put the muscles that would bring the head back to upright? Would I put them in the front, in the throat? And to me, the answer is pretty obvious. No, I would not, because that's not mechanically the correct thing. So if I'm tensing my throat in order to bring my head from being forward to bringing it back upright, if I'm tensing my throat, I know that I have a wrong image. And what I notice, you may or may not notice this, but what I notice is that through this simple exploration of just letting the head come forward slowly, controlled, and then bringing the head back to upright, what I notice is that suddenly I'm confronted with this this wrong image. I don't. So this wrong image that I have held to be correct, and so I start to notice fatigue or strain or frustration, discomfort, impatience, and then I start to wonder, how much longer do I have to do this? Could I stop now? Oh, here's another one. Start to think, I'm going to hurt myself. That's a good one. I'm going to hurt myself. Now, that might seem unimportant, but to me, it's a very important one. In fact, that's a key one, is this wrong belief based on the wrong image that I work to maintain. And I justify it because I say, if I don't do that, I'll hurt myself. So I have to strain in my throat. So I believe unconsciously, I have to strain in my throat so that I don't hurt myself. Because if I was to move my neck, if I was to move my head without straining in my throat, I might hurt myself. So says my unconscious belief. I come face to face with that through this simple exploration. Now, as I continue, as I continue to explore in this way, just gently allowing the head to move forward, tip forward, and then bring it upright. My aim is to allow it to become increasingly effortless. So I can, one way to do that, one, we'll say technique, is to pause. So I'm just going to pause here and notice what my image is, what my belief is. So here I am, I'm paused. Do I feel at ease completely? No. Am I upright? I'm not sure. My habit says I should do something to, this discomfort means I'm not properly upright, and I should do something to bring myself to upright. But that is based on a wrong image. So what will I be doing is I will be straining somewhere else in the body, maybe in the lower back, maybe in the shoulders, maybe in the abdomen. I'll be straining somewhere so that I can maintain the tension, the wrong tension in the throat. So now I'll have tension in two places. So rather than do that, I'm just going to pause here. I'm just going to be with this experience. So my image is an image of being slightly hunched forward. But as I just pause here and soften into this, I have to tell the truth, which is I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if I'm upright or if I'm hunched forward. I just have an image that says I'm hunched forward, but I'm not really sure. So rather than trying to take corrective action, which is what my habit is, see, I start to notice that I have hundreds of tics. These little funny little corrective, so-called corrective habits that I've been largely unconscious of. And all of them have been, it turns out, strenuous, unnecessarily strenuous, all of them designed to maintain unconsciousness, all of them designed to maintain the status quo, all of them designed to maintain the wrong image. So when I pause and I just stay with the sensation and I just notice, now something's out of sync. I can notice that something is out of sync. I was just in the habit of assuming that that out of syncness, the out of sync experience meant that I was hunched forward and I needed to take corrective action, because I just turned to my wrong image as my guide. So here I'm choosing not to consult my wrong image as the standard by which I'm going to live my life. Instead, I'm going to just stay with the actual direct experience, in which the truth that I can tell is I don't know if I'm upright or not. So what I can do here is I can notice, where am I straining? Where is the effort? Well, I notice squeezing in the eyes, so I can soften around the eyes. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, I don't know. With experience, it becomes easier. Again, I notice the tongue. I'm not sure what to do with the tongue, so can I just allow the tongue just to soften? Then I notice tension in the lower abdomen. Was not obvious until I softened around the eyes and the tongue, and then I noticed this tension in the lower abdomen. Now my breathing is more fulfilling, more relaxed, less strenuous. This is really nice. I find really nice when suddenly I start to notice my breathing is less strained. All of this effort I was making based on the wrong image was contracting my whole torso, so that my breath was restricted and I didn't even know it. So I was straining to breathe. Now, if I was straining to breathe and I now noticed that I was able to soften or surrender into this greater support and find relief, maybe I'm wise to assume that that was just a drop in the bucket. Maybe the same is still going on, right? Maybe there's still restriction that I was just unaware of as such. And I call it other things. I call it impatience. I call it frustration. I call it being ill at ease. But now that I've had this experience of this relief, of this sudden unlocking of a greater freedom in breathing, now I'm motivated, I'm incentivized. Aha, there's something greater possible. There's something greater here for me, right? And I don't know that there are any limits to that. So why should I assume there are? If I can uncover, discover, encounter greater ease and freedom, even just a little bit, from my perspective, I'm wise to assume that it's at least possible that I haven't reached the end of that. I have not yet reached the end of the possibility of freedom. I have not yet reached the end of the possibility of ease. So each time I have a taste, rather than saying, aha, I've arrived, okay, now I'm done. For me, and what I'm suggesting to you and inviting you to explore for yourself is this possibility of, that's just the beginning. There does not seem to be an end to this possibility of greater ease and freedom that we can encounter. So I'm looking at the clock. I see that we've gone over 30 minutes. We'll wrap this portion up now. I'll end the recording, and then I'll open it up for those of you who are here live. I'll open it up for questions and feedback. So let me just say, so it's not sudden, let me just say bye to everybody who may be watching the recording of this, and thank you for joining me. We'll be doing these, we'll do at least a week's worth of these, and if this is valuable to you, we'll do more of them. So thank you for joining me, and I'm going to end the recording if I can figure out how to do that. Okay, here we go.